Good evening, viewers. You're watching our rolling coverage in the Maha political chaos which ensues as I speak in the state of Maharashtra. The latest, Eknath Shinde has served the ultimatum to the incumbent sitting Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray says, go with the BJP or I have 35 MLAs. What does it mean for the state of Maharashtra? Over the next 1 hour, we're going to decode that. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. These are the headlines. Fight for survival for Uddhav government. If Shinde gets 37 MLAs to rebel, the Aghadi government will fall. Uddhav speaks to Shinde, who now demands a patch-up with the BJP. BJP MLA meets Aghadi rebels at Surat hotel. They are staying in Saffron Party, likely to move all defectors to a resort on the outskirts of Ahmedabad. Uddhav's aides in Surat to meet Eknath Shinde and rebel MLA. Sources say Shinde wants Sena patch up with the BJP. Congress fights to keep its flock together. Kamal Nath deputed to Maharashtra. Congress also steps up to its campaign where it's fighting against what they say misuse of central agencies, questioning Rahul Gandhi by the ED, stages dramatic protests in national capital. Shiv Sena is the joint opposition candidate for presidential polls. BJP needs to decide on NDA name later this evening. ED herald heat on Rahul Gandhi continues. Congress MP back at ED office for 5th round of questioning. Sonia Gandhi summoned on 23rd June. These dramatic political developments are taking place in the state of Maharashtra. Let's get you the latest news break, and that is the biggest news break till now. Uddhav Thackeray has managed to build contact with Eknath Shinde, spoke to him on the phone line for 20 minutes. The operative part, Eknath Shinde serves the sitting Chief Minister of Maharashtra the ultimatum. Go with the BJP, patch up with the BJP, or I have 35 MLAs. Shinde was firm on his stand and has asked Uddhav to think over it and let him know. With what we are given to understand, viewers, a 20-minute conversation took place between Uddhav Thackeray and Eknath Shinde. Eknath Shinde says, I don't want to be Chief Minister. You continue being the Chief Minister, but, and that is where the cold ultimatum was served. Go with the BJP. The MLAs and the party cadre, as per Eknath Shinde, is not happy with the current alliance between the Shiv Sena, Congress and the NCP. Eknath Shinde has asked Uddhav Thackeray to go with the BJP or, and that's where the operative part also comes in, where he says, I have 35 MLAs and I will pull the rug under your feet, is stuff that he did not say, but pretty much meant that when he says he has 35 MLAs, viewers, what does it mean? He is too short. Eknath Shinde needs 37 MLAs, 2/3 of MLAs, and with that, he can avoid the anti-defection law, meaning he can break out and split the Shiv Sena and form his own party and possibly align with the BJP is what he wants. On the other hand, Uddhav Thackeray told him that, listen, the BJP is using central agencies against us. They are harassing our cadre. Why should we go with the BJP? That's the time Eknath Shinde says, you're the party chief, do the right thing, but I have nothing more to say. Conclusion, no conclusion yet. Uddhav Thackeray is to get back to Eknath Shinde. What does it mean for his own leadership? What does it mean for the Maha Vikas Aghadi government? Listen in to Sanjay Raut.
उनकी कुछ बातें हैं, जो बातें मिलिंद नार्वेकर और रवि फाटक आकर उद्धव जी से बात करेंगे.
बनानी चाहिए,
त्यांचं माझं बोलणं सुरू आहे.
बीजेपी के साथ सरकार बनानी चाहिए, ऐसी बातें सामने आ रही कि उनकी.
देखिए, बीजेपी के साथ हमने क्यों छोड़ी सबको मालूम है. एकनाथ शिंदे भी उनमें एक विटनेस है, उसमें क्या है. ठीक आहे, आम्ही कोणत्याही परिस्थितीला सामोरे जायला तयार आहोत. आम्ही लढणारे लोक आहोत आणि आम्ही लढत राहू.
Up to speed with the latest news break. It happened just about 20 minutes ago. Eknath Shinde, who last night at about 1 a.m., along with his group of MLAs, well, there's no confirmation how many he has. He says he has 35. With what we are given to understand, they're definitely over 20. Made his way to Surat. In Surat, now Uddhav Thackeray built contact with him on the phone line, where Eknath Shinde has given Uddhav Thackeray the ultimatum. Go back to the BJP or I have 35 MLAs. Needs too short. Is just too short. Needs two more to go ahead and break away from the Shiv Sena, possibly split the party and avoid the anti-defection law. All right, viewers, let's get you the very latest with Eknath Shinde has launched a clear rebellion, serving the cold ultimatum to Uddhav Thackeray. Here's how the entire saga unfolded through the course of the day.
This is where the big war began. The infamous early morning ambush swearing in by the BJP, with post-NCP leader Ajay Pawar in front. The notorious scene that set off the war of Maharashtra as we are seeing it now. And when Bala Saheb Thakray's son Uddhav finally defeated the ambush to realize his dreams of chief ministership, the act of war was cemented in stone, triggering even this famous prophecy at the time over whether the Uddhav Sarkar would see its term through.
उद्धव जी, शरद पवार, संजय राउत ने सब ऑन रिकॉर्ड कहा है कि ये सरकार 5 साल चलेगी.
देखिए, हम इस सरकार को गिराएंगे नहीं, लेकिन मैं आपको स्पष्ट रूप से कहता हूं, अपने बोझ से ये सरकार गिरेगी. अंतर विरोध से भरी हुई सरकार है. ये सरकार अपने बोझ से गिरेगी. जिस दिन तक चल रही है चलेगी, जिस दिन गिरेगी उस दिन गिरेगी.
Cut forward 2 years and it's another early morning political surgical strike in the Maharashtra battlefield, with Uddhav's erstwhile number 2 Eknath Shinde decamping with an armload of MLAs to the safety of BJP-ruled Gujarat, where he set up base for the erupting rebellion. For the last 2 years, the Maharashtra political soap opera has seen every possible twist and turn. From the cementing of Uddhav as Chief Minister with the muscle of Sharad Pawar behind him, to a BJP seething from what it painted as a public betrayal of Bala Saheb's wishes, biding its time and waiting for an opportune moment to strike. The last 20 months have been defined by an opposition BJP fishing in troubled waters, never once handed an opportunity and with several false alarms of defections and rebellions. The BJP is finally now sniffing the chance for a badla on Bala Saheb's son. Maharashtra's political temperatures have simmered continuously for 2 years, but they are back on the boil now. Where things will land for Chief Minister Uddhav and a BJP that smells blood, the next few hours and days will tell. The state's next big blockbuster Rajniti has begun. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, viewers, the badla that possibly that the BJP sought from the Shiv Sena has been served not by the BJP, and that was what was said by Devendra Fadnavis. Hum nahi girayenge, par apne bodh se giregi. This time around, the badla has been served by an insider of the Shiv Sena. Will it reach fruition in terms of will the Maha Vikas Aghadi fall? What does it mean for the Shiv Sena's leadership? Let's take all these questions to our panelists this evening. Niranjan Sethi, spokesperson, Mumbai, Bharatiya Janata Party, Asif Bamla, political analyst, Brij Mohan Srivastav, leader NCP, Vikram Yadav, leader Shiv Sena, Sanjay Jha, political analyst. We're also joined by Sahil Joshi, Mumbai bureau chief, who's been breaking the minute-to-minute developments down. The latest, of course, the ultimatum which has been served by none else but Eknath Shinde to Uddhav Thackeray. Go with the BJP or else I have 35 MLAs. I want to cut across to the Shiv Sena leader, Vikram Yadav. Vikram Yadav, you know, there's a Hindi saying, Ghar ka bedhi lanka dhai. BJP has done nothing. It's your own that's taking your government down. यादव जी, आवाज आ रही है आपको? All right, we're going to try and build a connection with Vikram Yadav. Let's cut across to Asif Bamla. Asif Bamla, how do you see things pan out right now? Because now it's ultimately come down, A, to the leadership of Uddhav Thackeray, the Shiv Sena, the other, that the Maha Vikas Aghadi's government is in question.
You see, ever since the last, I can't hear, huh? Volume ka problem. Hello?
All right, we're going to try and fix, what we're going to do is, let's do a quick audio check with all our panelists because they seem to be getting an echo. Let's do that. All right, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut across to Sahil Joshi, who's going to break the developments down, and we're going to cut across to our panelists who are joining us. A quick round of audio checkup with all of them. Sahil, take us through the very latest. It's the ultimatum served by Eknath Shinde. He says he has 35 MLAs. He's too short of avoiding the anti-defection law to kick in. How do you see things play out right now? 7 p.m. is when Uddhav Thackeray, as I speak, has called a meeting of his MPs.
Well, normally as a journalist, we should not be making any kind of a predictions. But looking at the situations, I'm compelled to make one prediction at this point of time. The day the movement, Eknath Khadse decided to take along 35 MLAs along with him. That is what is his claim, of course. But, the two people who went to meet him there in Surat, they also realized that he has more than 30 MLAs at that point of time in the Meridien in Surat. All these MLAs taken to a state where the BJP is ruling. The idea was very clear that he is going to defect. Either the party chief will have to accept what he and his MLAs are trying to thrust upon him, or otherwise the party will be broken. He has 32 MLAs with him at this point of time. But normally, the political law, like the way Newton's law is, the political law works like this. If you have more MLAs with you, obviously you attract couple of more MLAs on your side, because the MLAs know very well that which side the government is going to be formed. And he's just short of 5 more MLAs. BJP already has support of 113 MLAs. If these two people club together, the BJP gets 150, the full majority, and the BJP will be able to form the government. Nobody will have to resign, there will be no bypolls, and the government will be formed. The BJP can approach the governor, can ask for no confidence motion against the Uddhav Thackeray government, and the government can fall. The only thing Eknath Shinde should be able to manage is that to keep his flock intact, to get more 5 MLAs, and the things will be sorted out. So that is the reason why it's kind of an ultimatum which he has given to Uddhav Thackeray, and Thackerays or any party which is run by a family is not, any party who is ruled by a single person basically is not equipped to hear such kind of threats or the ultimatums that please take this decision, otherwise we'll break the party. But this is a serious threat for the Shiv Sena at this point of time, because for the first time when Shiv Sena is in power, that is the time Shiv Sena is breaking, and not only in smaller numbers, but the numbers which are bigger than what was the MLAs who were present at that few hours back at Uddhav Thackeray's residence in Mumbai. There are only 22 MLAs who have signed on the letter by which Eknath Shinde has been taken down from the leadership of the party in Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. So this whole fight has become very interesting. Now Eknath Shinde has put the ball in Uddhav Thackeray's court. He has asked him that you should be taking a decision now, what you want to do. Even if you have problems with the BJP, sort it out for the MLAs, because MLAs have, are looking at the political future. They can't have an alliance with Congress and NCP. Whatever may be the reason, they don't want to have this kind of a family with Congress and NCP. Rather than that, they would prefer to have a government with the BJP, even if there is a BJP chief minister. They have no problem with that. But have an alliance with the BJP is the ultimatum which Eknath Shinde is trying to give.
With me, let's
now,
bring
what
in our
is
other
going
guest
to unfold here?
Right. Okay. Yes. Go ahead, Sahil. What is going to unfold?
Yeah. Now, what is going to unfold here is that the Shiv Sena is going to try level best to get more people on their side. If Shiv Sena manages to get at least 8 MLAs on their side, more 8 MLAs on their side, then the game is sorted. Eknath Shinde's rebellion will fall flat. But right now in the number game, Eknath Shinde seems to have better numbers with him, and that is the reason why Uddhav Thackeray definitely has a cause to worry about.
while we connect our audio to all our guests, if we have Sanjay Jha, let's bring him in. Sanjay Jha, it's rather interesting here with what's taking place. How do you know, the entire objective, clearly what seemed like of this government was to try and keep the BJP out of power. Will you see an Uddhav Thackeray succumb to the ultimatum? How do you see things pan out?
Well, I think, Preeti, the situation is politically extremely fluid. Please remember that the Devendra Fadnavis-led BJP in Maharashtra always felt that the MVA was actually a grand deceit because the BJP had 106 seats, they had fought with the Shiv Sena, and they always were challenging the legitimacy of this government. So if you look at the BJP over the last 3 years, they have been belligerent. They have tried in the past to destabilize this government, but the MVA has actually held on quite remarkably well. And I think Uddhav Thackeray's track record, especially during the coronavirus of 2 years, is appreciated by a lot of people here in Mumbai. Now, coming down to these numbers that you're talking about, let's not get into the realm of fanciful speculation. This is still a time where I think a lot of the loyalists, as the Shiv Sena has usually been as a party, I have not heard historically. Of course, there are Sanjay Nirupam left, and you had Chhagan Bhujbal who left, or Narayan Rane who left. But overall, the Shiv Sena revolting against the Thackeray family will be a rather unusual and a very extraordinary spectacle. And I do attribute all of this to the BJP Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed politics. Now let me tell you, I mean, Amit Shah's Operation Lotus, these 5-star resorts, if anybody believes that Eknath Shinde is suddenly discovered that the Shiv Sena's soft Hindutva is not ideologically compatible with the way he thinks, please don't buy that. This is simple, crude mathematics. The BJP is at the moment getting a lot of negative backlash and perception ever since the spokesperson's Middle East backlash that happened. You can see what's going on with the young protesting, and there has generally been a negative perception about the BJP. And I think the Congress is also seeming to get some tailwind in its favor. So I do think that this is an attempt to try and actually do this big revenge game. It's a revenge game, and they're hoping that if they're able to destabilize the government, they get a very powerful state like Maharashtra. But I think the game is still on. And in my opinion, even if 21 MLAs were to defect, let's not buy the number of 30, if 21 MLAs were to defect from the Shiv Sena and resign, and remember one thing, Preeti, no politician likes a midterm election or to fight a by-election, okay? So even if 21 were to go, I don't see how the BJP will get a halfway number of 133, because I think that a lot of the other independent MLAs or the others like the AIMIM or the Shiv Sena or the CPA, not the Shiv Sena, not the Shiv Sena. I was talking about the Samajwadi Party. And the others will still stick on with
Sanjay Jha, as I want to bring in Vikram Yadav into this conversation, the BJP has the number of 113 on its own, 106, and the rest independents. So it is still standing at a comfortable figure of 113. We're going to come. I want to just bring in Vikram Yadav, Shiv Sena leader, into this conversation. Yadav ji, अगर आपको हमारी आवाज आ रही है, इस बार तो बिल्कुल वैसा ही हो गया ना, घर का बेदी लंका ढाए. आपको लग रहा है कि जो 35 MLAs की बात हो रही है, वो है एकनाथ शिंदे के पास?
नहीं, देखिए ये सिर्फ बातें की जा रही है जी. ऐसा इसमें कोई कहां तक सच्चाई है ये कोई नहीं जानता. उनके पास 17 से 18 MLA उनके साथ है. उनमें भी हमारी बातचीत हो रही है. वो जोर जबरदस्ती वहां पे रोका हुआ है उनको, और उनसे हम पूछताछ कर रहे हैं. जिसकी जो नाराजगी है या किसी बात को लेके कोई बात है, तो हम सब हम सब बात कर रहे हैं. सारे मामले सॉर्ट आउट हो जाएंगे. लेकिन इस तरीके के दावे जताने कि 35 MLA चले गए, उतने चले गए, ये सारी पूरी बेबुनियाद बातें हैं. तो मैं नहीं समझता कि
यादव जी, आप कह रहे हैं उनके पास 16 से 17 हैं, पर आपके यहाँ सिर्फ 14 से 17 क्यों आए फिर?
नहीं, वो तो सब आसपास ही थे. अभी शाम को 7 बजे जो है ना, अभी आएंगे शाम को, आप देखना. वो जो उस टाइम जब सारे पहुंच नहीं पाए थे, यही वजह थी. और इसके अलावा
अभी आएंगे. Niranjan Sethi, how are you viewing the developments this time? Because this is actually, you might have instigated it, but you have a sure shot with Operation Lotus 2.0.
Preeti, I think to frame a speculation, there is no, I don't mind you as a media people can, say that, you can have your own speculation that it has been instigated or been orchestrated by the BJP. But let me make it clear that our state president, Mr. Chandrakant Dada Patil, categorically mentioned in today's press conference that we don't have any kind of underhand dealing with Mr. Eknath Shinde. Now, having said that, Mr. Eknath Shinde is not an amateur politician. Okay, he is well. If I take you back down the memory line, for a few months back, it was their own, including his name, that was been propped up, that he took up the issues with the Honorable CM of his own CM, stating that the Congress and the NCP legislative.
Sir, we seem to have, we're having a problem with your audio. I'm going to cut across, we're having a problem with your audio. Brijmohan Srivastav, you know, till now, your leader, Sharad Pawar, has gone ahead and said that, listen, this is the internal matter of the Shiv Sena. It doesn't seem to be the internal matter of the Shiv Sena. It has the potential of bringing your government down in Maharashtra, sir.
Yeah, I agree with you that it will affect our MBA government in Maharashtra if anything happen in the Shiv Sena. But ultimately, it is a matter between the Shiv Sena leaders, and we are sure that Honorable Uddhav Thackeray will shut out it. He has already spoken 10 to 15 minutes with the Eknath ji, and they are working since last so many years. They built the Shiv Sena in the Maharashtra, so they are having very good relations with each other. If something is happened, they will sort it out. We are sure that our government is fully supported by the MLAs, and there is no crisis at all. And this government will serve for next 2 years also. So it is not a big issue. But the question is not this only. Question is this, that why the BJP is doing this thing since the very first day of the government. It is not a new thing. It is going on since the first oath of our government. It is going on. And every time we defeated BJP planning, we defeated BJP wish to break the MBA government, to create differences between the leaders. So this time we also will solve the issue, and it is a matter of 2 or 3 days. It will be sorted out, and this government will work as per the previous days. There is no issue at all. It is my personal observation, and the Honorable Sharad Pawar ji has spoken this thing very loud and clear, that state government is not in any type of threat, or it is not under any danger. It is not in the danger zone now.
Sir, we don't quite know that. You know, many would say that's wishful thinking. We don't know whether it's in the danger zone or not, but the BJP might be trying. But, you know, you did the same to the BJP, because the BJP said the mandate was the BJP's. It had 106 seats. So it's revenge now being served cold by none else but an insider of the Shiv Sena, Eknath Shinde. I want to bring in Asif Bamla, political analyst, into this conversation. Asif Bamla, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Operation Lotus 2.0 Maharashtra. Do you think it's going to work this time?
You see, the biggest operation happened ever was the biggest operation that ever happened was when the BJP was the single largest party when it fought an election with the when it fought an election. Am I audible?
Sir, you're audible. Just reduce, sir, reduce our volume down. Reduce our volume down. You'll be able to hear us.
Reduce the volume. Okay. The biggest ever operation happened was when BJP was elected as the single largest party with an alliance with the Sena, and it was the Sena who happened to go along with this Maha Vikas Aghadi, and there was a certain old school of thought who were followers and you know, who came from the late Balasaheb Thakray's school of thought, who did not want this alliance to happen. So the disgruntledness has not been now. It has been a decade old from this ever since the time this Maha Vikas Aghadi has formed, and it is they who backstabbed and they formed an independent alliance of sorts where it was the BJP who you know, got the maximum seats. But anyways, coming back to here, we have seen not only this in the past 2 elections that happened even in the state. It is the Shiv Sena who should have got the signals. If you see, the BJP won the 5th seat in the council seats with 133 votes. In the Rajya Sabha, it bagged 123 votes. So the mandate of the independents, or even the MLAs from their own party, if they're willing willingly have decided, because they themselves have complaints that they don't get a chance to meet the chief minister, they don't get a way to put their schemes forward, they're never reciprocated with. So it is their internal problem. It is more the Shiv Sena who has to put this house in order. At the end, Eknath Shinde is from the Sena. It is them. Why are they blaming the BJP? Today they said that they have hijacked Eknath Shinde and he's been taken to Surat. It's none of that. Eknath Shinde is in Surat, and it's their own party senior leaders who went there, met them for 2 hours, had a discussion. So this blame falls flat on their face. I don't see why they're blaming the BJP. And are Eknath Shinde and the other MLAs, what are they? Are they kids, or they're so immature that they can be taken there by themselves? They've gone by themselves, and it's their own mind. Let's just move. Take a call. If you see, they've not been able to elect a Vidhan Sabha Adhyaksh till now. The assembly is not able or in a position to.
Let's move a step further, and I'll bring in Rahul Srivastava, who's joining us right now. Right, sir. I want to bring in Rahul Srivastava, our National Affairs Editor, who's patiently hearing it all out. So, sir, 1 minute, sir. Just want to bring in Rahul Srivastava. Rahul Srivastava, we were talking about things earlier. Do you see this go the Karnataka way? How do you see it pan out? And ultimately, this is also somewhere down the line a verdict on Uddhav Thackeray's form of governance and as a leader of Shiv Sena. Like, till you didn't know what went down. 1 a.m. in the night, Eknath Shinde with his armful of MLAs disappears. You have no idea.
I think, Preeti, this is real politics. This is the worry among a lot of Shiv Sena MLAs right since the time in November 2019 when the MVA government was formed. The two parties, the Shiv Sena and the BJP, have an umbilical relationship since the times of Balasaheb Thackeray. It was one of the oldest alliances of the BJP. Balasaheb Thackeray was more strident in his Hindutva. There was that Hindutva cake, which eventually the BJP started eating. There was a time I've seen, Preeti, in Maharashtra, when there was no BJP jhanda visible. It was all Shiv Sena, and Shiv Sena, Balasaheb Thackeray used to lead the party despite having an Atal Bihari Vajpayee and L.K. Advani at the BJP's helm of affairs. The fact is that the BJP became the dominant player and claimant to the Hindutva cake and became a dominant party, and the Shiv Sena had to play second fiddle. That's one fact pushed Uddhav Thackeray out of the BJP fold and go in for an MVA. Now, if you remove all the details which we have got, I think the most telling statement has come from Mr. Shinde when he tells Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, let's go back to the BJP. That is the real politics, and that is the battle. It's a battle of nerves, because once he makes this demand, Uddhav Thackeray either accepts it or rejects it. Now, if he rejects it, then comes the next phase. But Uddhav Thackeray has to make a choice. Is he ready to play second fiddle to Devendra Fadnavis? Because if this happens, if the Shiv Sena does go back to the BJP, eventually it will have to accept Devendra Fadnavis' leadership, who's this time around not wielding the knife, stabbing anybody, trying to break a government. It is the Shiv Sena itself. And that is why I think the real act will follow once Shiv Sena makes it clear.
But Rahul, also the sheer reason that the first time around the alliance didn't quite, the alliance broke up was because of the power sharing with Devendra Fadnavis.
Yes, that's exactly the problem. He doesn't want to play second fiddle anymore. So either he plays second fiddle or he accepts something that Mr. Shinde wants. I think that will be a very difficult choice for Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. He has lost a lot of MLAs. His style of functioning is a problem. There is a dynastic tilt in the government or the party which a lot of MLAs are uncomfortable with. There is a coterie which Eknath Shinde and his cabal is saying is running the government and the party, and they are feeling uncomfortable about it. I think the BJP this time around has played its cards very well. technically its numbers are just 134. Remember,
Rahul,
that's
with your
what the
permission,
number
I just want to bring in Sanjay Jha because a lot is being said. I'm sorry, I'm just coming in. I just want to bring in Sanjay Jha because Sanjay Jha, you talked about Uddhav Thackeray's form of governance, especially how it was appreciated during COVID. But there's a huge criticism coming in as well for Uddhav Thackeray's form of running his own party and governance. He hasn't been in touch with his MLAs for years now. And this is a prime example of that.
Yeah, Preeti, before I answer the question, let me make one very unambiguous message for your viewers and your other panelists. This is unsavory, unprincipled, unethical politics. Please, if anybody once again believes that this is nothing but an ideological conflict within the Shiv Sena, it is not. This is the Bharatiya Janata Party's attempt to try and destabilize the government. Now, whether they feel it's a revenge, comeuppance time, forget all that. But they are using a brutal combination, a ruthless execution of money, muscle and power. Let's not call it Chanakya Niti and the genius of the BJP, for heaven's sake. No matter what happens tomorrow, this is Indian politics looking absolutely shambolic and a monumental joke. Now, let me ask you a question.
What is it? I understand. And many would accept it. It's looking shambolic. But ultimately, what's happening right now is what happened earlier. The mandate did lie with the Bharatiya Janata Party. They had 106 seats. The mandate was for Shiv Sena and the BJP.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. The mandate was with them. But who asked the Bharatiya Janata Party to demonstrate such political hubris that their own partner of decades, as Rahul correctly said, had to ditch them? But let me answer one point.
Right.
It's true that, please remember, I agree with you that, I can't comment on what really Mr. Thackeray was doing with his party. But yeah, during the time of the pandemic, there is no denying that, those meetings or those interactions got, I think, naturally limited. Mr. Thackeray was also not well for a considerable period, did not make a public appearance, even that is true. But I also feel, and
Sanjay, we are talking about running a state, not the pandemic.
There is probably a big
Let him finish. I'll come to you. I know you want to come for a rebuttal. Let Sanjay Jha finish. Mr. Jha, make your point. Yes, sir. Please finish.
There is a big election coming up in the BMC in Mumbai. BMC's budgets are close to 40,000 crores. And in the last election, the Shiv Sena and the BJP were neck to neck. And I think the stakes are big for the BMC. And I can tell you, even whether the government survives or not, there is a lot of posturing happening at the moment. But I want to say it upfront that the BJP's politics of today, of Sam, Dam, Dand, Ved politics, has to be condemned. It is a pornography of politics of our times.
All right, Asif Bamla, I know you want to come in, but the fact is nobody really can take the high moral ground here, can you?
Sanjay,
no, sir, one second. The fact is, whatever you're trying to pin the Shiv Sena down on right now, what happened in Karnataka, sir? What happened in Madhya Pradesh?
What happened in Puducherry?
The script is quite predictable on either side.
Yeah, and why are they in Gujarat? Why are the MLAs gone to Gujarat? Can he answer that?
Very correct.
Mr. Bamla.
You ask your own MLA, your MLAs were stationed there. Listen to me. Your MLAs were stationed there. It is the Shiv Sena senior leaders who've just gone met them, and they had a discussion for 2 hours. ये जो कहते हैं कि इन्हें बंदी बनाकर ले गए हैं, तो आज तो वहां आपके खुद के पास आप अगर देखें तो शिवसेना के लोग वहां गए, उनसे बातचीत की है. तो are they gone? How can you? They've gone on their own good choice. If they've chosen Surat, it's not you can't hold the BJP responsible. BJP is just sitting and watching the situation and scenario. We are least bothered of what's happening. This is an internal matter of the Shiv Sena.
Mr. Bamla, let's not.
Mr. Bamla.
Mr. Bamla, the fact is, the fact that you say that the BJP has nothing to do with what, sir, as we speak, Mr. Bamla, as we speak, BJP is moving all the defectors from Surat to the outskirts of Ahmedabad, sir. Exactly. It's the BJP who's doing it. How can you say BJP is sitting back and watching?
And why they have chosen Gujarat? It's six
if your party MLAs subscribe to the leadership of Devendra Fadnavis, it's their choice. No, if the leaders or elected representatives willingly are unhappy and if they subscribe to the choice of Devendra Fadnavis ji, what can Devendra ji do? I mean, it is their plain choice. Why didn't it happen 2.5 years back? And what happened 2.5 years back? It was the BJP was the single largest party. Sanjay Jha is behaving holier than thou. It was them who backstabbed and formed a government which was an unholy alliance. We still bear that.
But there's nothing holy about Indian politics. That's the sad part.
Was that not ethical?
Sir, the BJP is none the richer.
If that's
it's a little rich, sir. It's a little rich coming in from the Bharatiya Janata Party. But like I said, I'm going to go. Okay, Mr. Bamla, stay with me. Mr. Jha, stay with me. I'm going to cut across to the NCP spokesperson right after I take this latest news break. Coming in, Prime Minister Modi has reached the BJP headquarters to attend the parliamentary board meeting. The board likely to discuss the name for the president's post. Viewers, mind you, the opposition has come up with its name. It's Yashwant Sena, United Opposition candidate, Yashwant Sena for the presidential post. And the Prime Minister Narendra Modi now would be presiding over the parliamentary committee meet to decide the BJP's candidate for the next president of India. I want to cut across back to our guests and the continuous rolling coverage on the breathless political developments that are taking place in Maharashtra, cutting across to our spokesperson of the NCP. Sir, the fact is, where does the NCP stand? Because in the past, the NCP really hasn't been so wary of joining hands with the BJP.
No. NCP has not joined hands with the BJP. We are with the Maha Vikas Aghadi, and we are totally... Right. We are having great faith in our alliance. There is no question to ask this to me. Our leader will reach to Mumbai and they will participate in solving the issue. And we are totally with the MBA government, and there is no difference. Even our MLAs also. This I want to clear. The unity of the NCP MLAs is totally intact, and there is no issue. And we are totally with MBA government. There is no issue at all. But the question is not this, madam. Question is bigger than this. Why the people have chosen Gujarat to stay there? It is a question. Do you think that BJP is not behind the curtain? Why BJP is doing this type of things against the democratic setup of the country? It is a question. No doubt they are in a power, they are having a muscle power, they are having the money power, they are having the administrative power with them. But it doesn't mean that they can ruin the democracy of the country. It is a great question behind all of us. And we have to discuss it very thoroughly. And we have to condemn the BJP action of this type of action, what they are doing with the elected governments. It's a very, very relevant question.
All right, sir. When I meant that the NCP is really not against going with the BJP, sir, past political history stands testimony to that. It might not play out like that, but it was a question in that context. But I want to bring in our Shiv Sena spokesperson right now, Vikram Yadav, who's still with us. यादव जी, आप तो कह रहे हैं कि बाकी सारे जो MLAs हैं वो उद्धव ठाकरे जी समेट लेंगे. अभी तो ऐसा नहीं लग रहा है सर.
नहीं, हाँ बिल्कुल लगेगा. देखिए, ये सब जो बातें की जा रही है अभी तक, उसमें अभी तक किसी ने भी उसका एक प्रमाणिक उसका वो दे दिया है. ये तो सिर्फ बातें की जा रही है कि इतने MLA ले गए, इतने MLA उनके साथ है. आप मुझे बताइए कि MLA उनके साथ क्यों जाएंगे? वहां पे उनको क्या मिलेगा? एकनाथ शिंदे को भी जो दिया शिवसेना ने दिया, उनको मंत्री बनाया, उनको सारा कुछ इतना यहाँ पे मिला. अब वहां पे उनको क्या मिला? क्या वहां पे उनको चीफ मिनिस्टर बना देंगे? आप मुझे बताइए, इनके लिए अगर ये बीजेपी में जाते हैं तो आगे चल के इनको दिक्कत भी होंगी. इनके बेटे जो है वो भी इस पार्टी में है. ये वहां पे एक परिवार में 2 टिकटें बीजेपी में अगर ये जाते हैं तो वहां वैसे नहीं मिलेंगी. इनके लिए आगे कलेश होगा. तो ये सारी चीजें अभी जो बातें हो रही है, इनमें कुछ इनका कुछ सच्चाई नहीं है. सच्चाई जो आपके सामने आ जाएगी, थोड़ा आप इसके लिए इंतजार कीजिए. कहीं पे भी ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. जो अफवाह फैलाई जा रही है वो सब झूठ है.
पर विक्रम यादव जी, जो कहते हैं ना, जो एक जमीनी लीडर हैं एकनाथ शिंदे, मास लीडर रहे हैं, बहुत सारे प्रवक्ता काडर मान लीजिए जो शिवसेना का है बहुत क्लोजली जुड़े हुए हैं, जो एक शिव सैनिक होते हैं वो ट्रू शिव सैनिक कहलाते हैं. आपको लगता है कि उनका उतना वजूद नहीं होगा कि वो जुटा पाएंगे? वो तो कह रहे हैं उनके पास 35 MLA.
देखिए, जो शिव सैनिक होगा वो टूटेगा नहीं. वो किसी भी लालच में कहीं नहीं जाएगा. वो शिव सैनिक ही रहता है आखिरी तक. और अगर उनको कोई ऐसी कोई शिकायत है, उनसे बात की जा रही है अभी, आप इस चीज में जल्दबाजी मत करिए। अगर उनकी किसी बात को लेकर कोई नाराजगी है तो उस पर बात हो रही है। ये ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि भाई
तो मुख्यमंत्री
वो कुछ उनकी कोई बात होगी और वो सुनी नहीं जाएगी। तो इसके लिए थोड़ा सा मैं समझता हूँ कि इंतजार हमें करना चाहिए और सारी चीजें जो भी है सामने हो जाएगी।
All right. Okay. I want to go back to the discussion that we were having with Sanjay Jha and Asif Bamla. Sanjay Jha, once again, talking about the form of functioning of Uddhav Thackeray, the fact that he hasn't met his MLAs in years, incommunicado, maybe because of his health, then COVID kicked in, the fact that you see a clear shift of responsibilities to Aditya Thackeray, that might not have gone down well, and the sheer fact that he's not in touch with his own MLAs.
No, I'm sure they do have certain internal challenges they have to overcome, Preeti. I think that cannot be denied. However, I think the critical thing is the meeting that will happen now, which Mr. Uddhav Thackeray has called in his office. And I think that will tell you exactly the kind of strength that the Shiv Sena has in terms of those who are not with Eknath Shinde. And I do believe that, end of day, people reacted a little too early by saying only 14 people signed, etc., etc. But it takes time for people to come together and so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, and I was just thinking about it too, that what does the Shiv Sena rebels want? They are in government, many of them are ministers, they are in power, and the BJP actually has grown at the cost of the Shiv Sena over the last few decades. If you follow BJP's politics, and as a Bihari I will tell you this, Nitish Kumar today is paying a huge price because he allowed the BJP to come on his shoulders. Okay. Now the BJP has become bigger than him. So I think Uddhav Thackeray actually, possibly has played better politics in getting the BJP off his back, because the BJP ultimately consumes the very partner with which it actually makes a deeper entrenchment into the state. So I think this is a question of the Shiv Sena to actually address in a very, candid manner, because being with the BJP is actually to the detriment of the long-term future of the Shiv Sena.
All right, I'm going to go into a quick break. Coming right back in the next 3 minutes, we're going to keep our rolling coverage on with the Maha-political chaos as it ensues in the state of Maharashtra. The latest viewers, Eknath Shinde has served a cold ultimatum to Uddhav Thackeray. Go with the BJP or I have 35 MLAs, just too short of splitting your party.
You are watching India Today.